All right, we are finally live. All right. Well, she's got a date at midnight with Nosferatu. Hey, everyone. I am Jack Mangan. I'm not wearing a metal shirt today because we're not, well, we're going to talk metal. We're going to talk lots of things. This is actually a little bit of a different format. We're talking horror and music. And yes, perfect.
Perfect, right?
And Don Dokken. Yes. George Lynch's guitar. George Lynch's guitar is definitely horror. But yeah, I've got the... you all recognize him, right? You recognize that guy?
Evil Dead.
Nice. Yeah. So I wore it just for this episode. So anyway, I'm Jack Mangan. You know me from MetalAsylum.net, the Metal Hall of Fame, and also, speaking of horror, the Am I Evil graphic novel based on the classic Diamond Head song. And of course, you know the Metallica song. So Am I Evil? Yes, I am. And my partner in crime over there, flashing the Dokken records.
Yeah, and some other albums I have here that I could show that are perfect for horror movies, since we're talking horror and it's a metal show. So, well, before I show them, Rich Catino from Metal Asylum, Brave Words, Metal Hall of Fame. I guess that Sea of Tranquility and Rock Fantasy once in a while. And yeah, how horror is that?
Classic stuff too. Great song.
Bonded by Blood. I mean, that could have been a movie, right?
Could have been. Could
How
still
about
be.
a little Dio, Dream Evil.
Awesome.
Right? That's a horror movie in the making. How about this one?
Oh, yeah.
That's
Classic
awesome.
album. Do you know this stuff?
1 to 10, right?
Yeah.
I used to, like, I wasn't a metal fan in high school, or, like, you know, even in college. I was just like more into like goth stuff, but not heavy metal. But I used to go to Amoeba and just buy the cassettes because of the cover.
Cool. Nice.
Because the covers were so awesome. Wow.
Spreading the Disease. I think that could be a horror movie, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I brought up a list of some good stuff too.
I got more. You guys ready?
Well, Rich, why don't we should let our guest introduce herself and talk.
All right, I'll show one more and then she will introduce her. How about that?
Right.
Death, Magic, Doom. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, nice. Awesome.
All right, so our guest is, go ahead. Sorry.
Am I introducing myself?
You're introducing yourself, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Ems. I'm Emerian Rich, and I host HorrorAddicts.net. We're in our 16th season. And we're doing cultural horror this year, so I'm excited because all kinds of different stuff that you haven't heard of because it's not American. Think of that. Something not American. So we've got some really cool stuff lined up. I'm really excited. I also write horror, so you may know me from my early podcasting days with my Nights, Vampire and Pod novel, and have written a lot more since, but we could get into that.
Very cool. Well, welcome, Ems. Yeah, this is a long time overdue, but yeah, welcome. It's fun to have you, and yeah, we definitely want to help you pimp some of your stuff, some of your books, and the Horror Addicts community, because it's an amazing thing that you guys have built over there.
Thank you.
There's some people there that you and I've talked about it that are very dear to us both. But yeah, all right, let's get the discussion going. I'm going to share this stuff around. So, Rich, I know you're ready.
Some more covers out while you're sharing. All right, I'm locked and loaded here. Gravedigger, the Gravedigger.
Ooh, nice. I like the scary hands at the bottom.
Yes, of course, Iron Maiden Killers.
Yes, of course.
I remember that.
And of course,
my husband's a big metal fan. I mean, you know, Kirk, he was listening to you before I even knew anything about you, Jack. And he had all these things on his walls when I first met him.
This one, awesome. This could be anything, right? Kill 'Em All. You could do anything with that title.
Yeah.
And that artwork.
Metallica loved their Lovecraft. Metallica have 3 songs dedicated to the lore of H.P. Lovecraft. So they dabble. They definitely dabble.
Care.
But all of them.
Shout at the Devil, right? Oh, awesome. Jack, one of our personal favorites, Overkill, The Years of Decay.
Yes.
That's a really cool skull.
That's a story waiting to happen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Overkill, you would dig the lyrics on the Overkill mythology. It's really cool stuff.
of course, the King Diamond, them.
Mm.
Right? And you can't forget who came before him, the godfather of it all, Alice Cooper. Along came a spider.
Awesome.
Always love that title. That'd be a great story, right?
He's truly the godfather of all that.
Yeah. Yeah. And
do that on camera.
It's so
I really
weird.
liked him in Suck.
What's that?
I really liked him in Suck. You saw that movie, right? The vampire movie, Suck? What?
No.
You have to watch Suck because it has all these older, they're old now, metal guys in it. So
no, I never saw
it. It's a vampire. Yeah, it's awesome.
I've seen him in Prince of Darkness, of course, the old Carpenter movie. Yeah,
and he was in Nightmare on Elm Street, the last one, right? Not the
one of them.
Not the Dream Child, the last one, the final Nightmare, I think it was called, right?
I'm not sure, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was
very well.
He was. I want to say he was Freddy Krueger's abusive father, I think. In that one, yeah, he played a good character. And then so weird because I did King Diamond, then I did Alice Cooper, and Merciful Fate in the Shadows. Jack, you remember that one?
Of course, yeah. I mean, again, that's also King Diamond.
What a great title. Yeah, King Diamond's first band. And then what could you do with that? Possibilities are endless. Possessed, 7 churches, right?
Yeah, Possessed is on my list of bands to bring up.
I'll throw a couple more quick ones out there. Diary of a Madman, of course.
Yeah, I didn't think of that one, but of course Ozzy, and he's got a Bark at the Moon, of course, which is the werewolf lore.
Testament, The Souls of Black.
I love that cover.
That could be a great story.
Very cool.
Yeah, and of course they've got Alone in the Dark. Testament had Alone in the Dark. Testament really, they were more in their early days, were into the horror kind of imagery. Slayer,
of course, Hell Awaits.
Cool.
And Megadeth, how about Killing Is My Business and Business is Good?
Well, and The Conjuring, when those early out, Megadeth had The Conjuring, The Skull Beneath the Skin, Good Morning, Black Friday, Bad Omen. I mean, Megadeth were all about the horror in the early days.
Yeah, a lot of good horror and metal.
I'll throw out a couple more that we didn't mention. Of course, I referenced them at the top, and then Ems, we're going to shut up and let you go. But I got to mention Typo Negative, of course, are at the top of this world. Opeth have they go into a lot of very gothic horror. You might really dig those their storylines too. There's almost always hauntings and shit in their albums. Ghost, of course, with Papa Emeritus.
Yes, I didn't grab that album. Yes.
Well, sure. Sometimes it's more just straight up spooky Satanism stuff. But yeah, there's that. Of course, there's the band Lizzie Borden. There's an obscure little band who I've covered who I think are fantastic. They're a modern band called Bloody Hammers. Very steeped in horror lore, and very kind of gothic and groovy. Their new album kicks ass. They did an EP a few years back, and then let me look at my list. Rich, shame on you for not mentioning White Zombie and Rob Zombie, of course, who's
Oh yes.
Shame on you.
I mean, his stories, his albums alone, the titles and everything are so creative.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, right. Even if you don't really dig the music. I think and of course he's a fixture in the horror world because he's a filmmaker as well. So I'll throw out a couple more, and then I'm going to shut up. Of course, Rich already touched on thrash. You mentioned a bunch. Heathen also is another thrash band that did a Bay Area band. Ems and Creator, of course, Nuclear Assault, and then the last one I'll throw out is another modern band, which it's debatable whether they're even metal, though they are categorized that way sometimes. Is High Lung, which I don't know if you know them, but they do.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're
like I said, I listen to a lot of stuff now, but nowadays I don't know them. I don't have a CD. I don't have a CD in my hand to remind me of what their names are. So it's just kind of like all this cool music. I'm like, yeah, I know that one.
Well, High Lung, they're I don't know where they're from, so I'm not gonna disrespect them and be Mr. Ignorant American. Say, no, they're from somewhere in Europe. But yeah, it's very much very steeped in the folklore. In fact, they kind of had to put out a disclaimer. It's the world we live in, saying, hey, this is not about white supremacy, dimwits. This is about, our ancient heritage and about connecting all people with the earth and all that. So, anyway, I'm going to shut up.
I was going to say, since we're throwing out all these bands and, connecting the titles and everything to horror, that could be a horror movie. where does your music connection come into horror? Like, what's your generation, your era that you came into all this stuff?
Well, I'm kind of going to date myself here, but early 90s goth. I mean, Nosferatu, Metaphysto Walls. My favorite is a band that I don't even know anybody else who knows them, but I got 2 CDs at Amoeba, like in the 90s, called P Vampire, and I love them. And nobody knows who they are because they're not on the net. So I have 2 CDs. I should have brought them and shown you, but I have 2 CDs of P Vampire. They have this awesome story, a song called Sugar Babies, which is about a man standing behind a wall watching these little ballerinas, and he's flicking a match and sugar babies burn. I love it. Gosh, I can't think of other names, but that's, that's my era that I always put on if, pull out the CDs. I need some spooky music.
Well, outside of metal, of course, I mean, when you talk about the 90s, I think a band I loved and I still love, I saw them in concert a few years ago, not metal, but definitely goth, is Rasputina. I don't know if you're familiar with them. Yeah. Love them. They were amazing to see live too. Just it's cellos, it's all cellos, and they dress in Victorian dress and very gothic, fantastic stuff. And of course, there's the godfathers of all of it. It's guys like Bauhaus and that kind of thing. I mean,
of course. I think actually the last concert I ever have gone to, because, we got old and didn't go to concerts anymore. But the last concert I went to see was The Damned, and they were so awesome. Like, still, I mean, I know they started way, in the 80s, but he was still awesome. He was still like a presence on stage to see. It was pretty cool.
Cool. Well, hey, out there watching, help us out. I realized, because we could just do this for an hour. So like, oh yeah, what about this one? So I just thought of, as you were talking about The Damned in the 80s, and thinking, oh, Glenn Danzig, of course. He's all about the horror. Yeah. But anyway, and
the Misfits.
Yeah, well, of course, yeah, Glenn Danzig and Misfits. But anyway, we have some questions, and this is a fun topic. I mean, again, Ems, we've got, you guys are experts. I feel like I'm the one who's going to be playing catch up. You guys live in this world, but I know we have questions and we have topics. And again, if you out there have horror questions or questions about horror addicts, or a question about Ems's books, podcast career, or any of that stuff, then fire away. But Rich, go ahead. I know you have questions. I've got my list, but go ahead. Go where you want to go.
So how long has Horror Addicts been around? How long have you been doing this? And what was like your horror movie, like, kind of history that made you, inspire you to do something like this called Horror Addicts?
Well, the inspiration part is a little weird. But yeah, we've been doing this since 2008. So we only do, we used to do 2 seasons a year, but now we only do 1. And so we're on our 16th, and we've been doing this for a long time. I'm the boss, but I have all kinds of staff members who help me, especially with like the music part. RL Merrill, I'm going to give a shout out because she's our music maven, and she reviews all the cool bands that we have on the site. So she would be awesome to have here. And she's probably watching.
So wait,
hi.
Not to interrupt you. So it's a music movie crossover thing that you do?
My podcast, HorrorAddicts.net, is horror lifestyle. So when I started this podcast, I had already been podcasting for a while with my books. And what I wanted to do was a horror podcast that was not 2 guys sitting in a room talking about movies. So we do have movies on there, but that is not the goal. That is not the focus. I did not want that to be. I actually wanted it to be on writers, and that is still what it is. At the end of our show, we have about a 20-minute read of a story. It's either the author reading it, or we produce it as an audio drama, or I read it. So you'll always get a piece of fiction at the end that's free. And then the first part of it is news and talking about lifestyle and, like, anything from cool goth jobs to what's happening in media, to TV, to movies, to music, to fashion. So I try to really make sure that it's a mix up of everything, because, as you know, being horror fanatics, you're not just about movies. You're not just about the music. You're not just about one thing. You want everything. You want to crave everything you possibly can, and swallow it up. Knowledge.
It's the books, it's the books, the comic books, the collectibles, your music and how it, your music and how it connects to, horror.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you're going to get a taste of everything when you listen to horroraddicts.net. So I am really happy that we've stayed on that track. I know that a lot of different people are just really into the media and meeting stars and meeting TV people. And we do have some of that on the show, but I absolutely do not want it to be just about what movie star you can have, who was in Walking Dead and stuff. I mean, they're great, but I'd rather have the creators. We've had a lot of writers, a lot of directors. We've had Frank H. Woodward, for example, who did the Men in Suits thing, where he interviewed all the guys who play the monsters and stuff like that. So we have a lot of different stuff on there that you won't find other places, and that's my number one goal. How I got started? How I got started in horror.
Well, yeah, like your interest in horror. Was it a horror movie? Was it a comic book? Was it a TV show? What got you into it?
Well, first of all, I grew up as a minister's kid, so I wasn't allowed to watch any of it. I could not watch The Black Cauldron. I could not watch Sleeping Beauty because it had a witch in it. So when but during my childhood, I got interested in those romances with like the lighthouse, and there's like a ghost involved, because that stuff, it didn't look scary from the outside to, my parents. So I was like, ooh, got to swipe that one, So that's where it started. I always really liked the spooky mystery of horror. And then when I got out on my own, I was able to like really explore horror. And that's why I don't know a lot about like, Freddy Krueger and all that stuff that happened when I was a teen. Wasn't allowed to watch it. I've caught up. I've tried to catch up, but it's never going to be when the movie came out, you have that memory of being in the theater and being totally freaked out, So, I think the only scary movie I got to see when I was a kid, and you guys are going to laugh, but my babysitters once took me to the Twilight Zone movie, and I freaked out because I had never seen like horror. So I was like, the thing on the wing, like, do you want to see something really? I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Right.
I was freaked out. Those babysitters were never at my house again. Just FYI. Sorry guys, wherever you are. But yeah, that. So I've had to catch up a lot. Nowadays, of course, there's so much to consume that I'll never catch up, but
yeah,
sure. Well, yeah, maybe. I mean, even though you're the expert, maybe we'll throw out a couple of recommendations, or again, if you're out there watching, throw out some classics. But I guess so. I'll ask then. Now that it's in your love of horror, and we definitely want to get to your stuff, your personal stuff, your output too. But so in your love of horror, which horror because horror's got probably more subgenres than anything else. So there's ghost stories, slasher, psychological. So what there's even torture porn and all kinds of stories. So what are the ones that you gravitate towards inside the horror genre?
I'm more into like classic horror, things that mimic classic horror, like the Woman in Black. So it's like anything that mimics like an old time like Hammer movie. That's the kind of stuff that I really gravitate to. I'm also very into vampires. And if there's any kind of romance in it, I'm a Gemini, so I'm like the black heart and the love heart, smash together and break it a little bit. That's my kind of genre. I really love the full moon stuff, like Subspecies and like the Vampire Journals.
Yeah,
and those those old ones are kind of cheesy, but you still love them.
They're good. Yeah.
The Radu and breaking his fingers off, and the little guys go running around. Yeah, that stuff is really cool.
Yeah. Do you remember those, Jack?
Some of them, yeah. So I've actually not seen Subspecies, but
they're the same company that did. They're the same company that did the Puppet Master movies.
Right.
Oh,
right.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And Vampire Journals is like this offshoot. It's kind of like, it doesn't have Radu in it, but it's like a romantic, like kind of, if Anne Rice's books were made into a B movie kind of situation. And also Phantom of the Opera somehow weirdly twisted in there. So yeah, those are awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Actually, I actually really like the 1930s horror movies. They're not scary, but I think they're great. I don't know if you've seen the original Bela Lugosi Dracula. It's laughable. It's laughable. The bat, you can see the string on the bat, but I think they're great movies. I think The Bride of Frankenstein is a masterpiece. Brilliant movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have a white zombie, I think, also with Bella.
Yeah.
Is that what the name of it? Yeah, it's pretty good.
Mhm.
Something silly from my generation. If you're my age, which I'm almost approaching 50, if you were young and poor and maybe got a video of the Bela Lugosi Dracula movie at the library and then taped it on a tape recorder on a tape and then listened to it over and over in your Walkman. That's me. That's me. I
That's
just like
awesome.
do all the words. I'm like, I don't even have to see it. I can imagine it in my brain. I'm like listening to the movie as with all the wolf howls and all that stuff.
That's so cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
Did you guys ever do that? Like record stuff from like movies onto it?
Before my parents got a VCR, the tape recorder, the thing. I used to do that with the Godzilla movies because I wanted to hear all the monsters roaring and fighting and everything. Yep, I totally did that when I was a kid.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome. I can't.
Yep,
I just did
get them on VHS.
I did the theme songs. I didn't actually do like long stretches of the movie. That's great though. All right, Rich. Well, what else you bring a question?
Okay, so what are you doing currently now with Horror Addicts? What's your current thing you guys are working talking
Our
about?
season starts in April. It's the 16th season, and it's all about cultural horror. So we have a lot of great entertainers coming on there. We have the Slay authors from Mocha Memoirs Press. They are all Black vampire stories from like everywhere. So that's one of them. We have, oh my gosh, people are going to kill me that I don't know who's on the season this year, but I don't. It's on the site. Go to horroraddicts.net and look at the little list because I did populate it, but I can't remember at this moment. But we have some really cool themes. We have a Japanese theme coming up, a Maori from like New Zealand theme. We have a lot of African American and also African shows coming up, and some Latinx. So, it's really going to be exciting because people that we haven't heard from before.
You said cool. Japanese horror, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Did you see the one that was on the train? I forgot the title of it.
Train to Busan. But I think that is that Japanese? It might be Korean.
That's Korean.
Korean, actually.
Yeah, it might be Korean. But we love
good.
that.
That was one of the more recent Asian ones I saw. That was really good.
Yes. I haven't seen the second one, I
haven't either.
I think it's out, but I haven't seen it. So I really want to see that. We also watched over the last couple months, Netflix had was it Alone or Alive? It's also a Korean one where they're in these two apartment high rises and the zombies are coming. Yeah, you think it's raining and then you're like, there's no rain, and then it's like zombie feet. Like, whoa.
Cool. That's the problem with Netflix and all these other channels. It's very hard to keep up with all the new horror that's been coming out.
It totally is, yeah.
So I don't have Shudder. Do you have Shudder? Is that worth it for horror fans? The Shudder channel.
I don't have it either.
I haven't done it yet either.
Nope, I haven't done it yet. But it's like Netflix, Hulu. How many are you going to pay for? I mean, like,
I know.
We decabled for a reason. There was a reason. Yeah. We didn't want appointment TV, and we also wanted to be cheaper. And now we've got 60 channel, 60 different things. It's like, okay, $10 a month. That's more than we were paying for cable. So, the good thing about it is you can go with a system for a few months and then go to another one. So I guess we have the freedom of that, but.
No, exactly. All right. Rich, I don't know. So I'll just throw out a quick question.
Go ahead.
Other than me, who are your favorite guests that you've ever had on Horror Addicts? Because actually I've been a guest on Horror Addicts and actually, many years ago. In fact, since it's all about me, you guys be quiet for a second. It's all about me. But many years ago, actually, I don't know if you even remember this, Ems, because this is going way back. I actually had a Christmas-themed horror short story that was published, and actually, we did the audio version through.
What was the name of that?
That was called Santa Thing. It was about. But
you also did another one because my husband actually used to listen to your podcast way back in the day, and he's like, "You should have Jack on your show," and I'm like, who? And so he introduced me to you, and you came on the show. That was the first time, I think. And then, yeah, of course, the holiday themed horror, which is always fun.
Right. But I was kidding about, the shining the spotlight at me. Tell us about who some of your favorite recent guests or even guests over the years, and stories and guests who you've had.
Yeah. Stories are hard because, there have been so many of them, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings as far as author guests, because they all know me and they will bitch that I did not mention them. But some of my people that I am really into before the show started, Andrew Niederman, who wrote Devil's Advocate, Pin, The Need. I interviewed him once on this show. It was very nerve-wracking. He's probably my number 2 of all-time wish I had interviewed people. I still haven't interviewed Anne Rice, but that may not ever happen. But sure. He's my number 2 best author that I read before this, But then other authors have come on the show, like Nancy Kilpatrick, Lucy Blue, are people that I read in the 90s when I just had a zine and was reading horror, reading vampire novels, and then they want to be on the show, and I'm like, oh my God, you guys, I used to read you when in the old days with paperbacks, so that's kind of cool. I also got to speak to the number 1 Elvira impersonator in the whole world, Patterson Lundquist. That was really cool. That was pretty cool. But all these shows are still in the archive. You can go listen to them. We really try to bring a lot of people that you guys may not know of, but every once in a while we'll get somebody who we know that everybody is going to be really thrilled with to listen to. But we've had many different movie producers, and Willow Houseman is a theater director who has done horror, Christmas Carol kind of stuff and that kind of thing. And she's also a movie producer. So, there's tons of stuff to listen to on the show. You just got to check it in. I think we're starting this season. This season, we're actually going to have our 200th session episode. So that's exciting.
Very cool. Yeah, nice. All right, Rich, I've done a lot of talking. Go ahead.
That's all right. Give us a couple of horror movie recommendations that you've seen recently within the past year of the pandemic.
I don't have my book. I have to keep these things in a book because I have no memory. I don't know if you guys have pandemic brain, but I absolutely do. It's what was the name of the movie we watched last night? I don't know. And then we keep thinking, okay, did the player play in something else that we could look him up and then trace back to what the movie was, or go back in your Netflix queue? What did I just watch? I have no idea. But I can tell you some of my favorites. Ghost Ship is one of my favorite movies of all time. That first scene where the wire just cuts the entire crew in half is magic. And then of course, Women in White. And oh my God, I don't know. I really also like series what is that one? I'm not going to say it because I don't remember, but Forever Night, The Kindred Embrace, all these vampire cop shows. I love Moonlight. If you haven't seen them, if you weren't around or weren't aware when they came on, you do have to really go find them out and check them out.
Did you what was the one that was on? I don't remember if it was on 11 or 4 or 7. It was on a major network. It was one word, I want to say. Maybe 10 years ago.
Fringe.
It was a vampire show. What was it?
It was
Fringe?
A vampire show?
Yeah.
There's True Blood, and there's the Vampire Diaries, and there's
True Blood. I thought it was one word. 2 words.
I
yeah. What did you think of that show?
I actually didn't mind it for the first 2 seasons. I think it after that it kind of got lost a litit bit, but I really enjoyed it for the first 2 seasons. Yeah. And weird because I tried to read the book and I started reading it and I was like, oh, I can't get into this for some reason. And then they had the show and I was like, oh, cool. And then I went to go buy the book and it had the True Blood cover on it. And so I bought it and I started reading it and I was like, what the? I've read this before with a different cover, and I got so mad. So, I threw him against the wall. But anyway, that's another story for some other time. But yeah, True Blood, the TV show was really good. I actually really like the Vampire Diaries, the books. The way they CW'd it, I am not a fan of that, the music played over and the teens are angsty and there's I'm not really into that, but actually the first 2 seasons of Vampire Diaries I actually really liked also until they got to the originals, if anybody knows what that's about. Blood Ties is an awesome vampire cop kind of show that was on a while ago. If you can find it, Blood Ties is about a cop who can't be a cop anymore because she can't see very well. She's nearsighted or something. It's kind of like a stupid premise, but it has vampires in it, and it has the I want to say his name is Jason something, and he's on Pandemic Brain. I can't think of names. Oh my God.
No, it is when you have so much information, you try and remember it all, and then recall it on the spot like that. It is hard sometimes. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
well, Kristen Bell was in it. That teenage where she was like a investigator. Anyway, the dude on that's like her love interest. He was on that show. Anyway.
Oh. But she was
so
on
look that
Veronica
up. If you
Mars?
can think of if you can look up Veronica Mars and then look up him, and then you can get to Blood Ties.
IMDb.com should sponsor us, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, cool. Well, Rich, go ahead. I mean, if you got more, I have more.
Go ahead.
But go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, all right. Well, so you're talking about some vampire TV stuff, and you've already mentioned the queen. Our great queen. One of my favorite book series of all time, at least the first 3, was the Vampire Chronicles. So,
yeah.
What did you think of the movies, and what do you think? Are we ever going to get this promised TV series based on the Anne Rice novels?
I don't know about that. I mean, her son's involved, so it should come about, but I haven't heard anything about it since the pandemic. So I don't know if it got crushed or if it's just on hold. I hope it comes about. I really, really do. Funny story about Anne Rice. Okay. I did not read vampire novels when I was younger because, as before mentioned, I was a minister's kid, and anything with scary stuff was like, out the door. But when I got into college, a friend loaned me a book of hers called Feast of All Saints, and I loved it. It's not horror, but it's about the gens de couleur that are in New Orleans that are half white, half black, and they don't really fit in either world. The book was awesome. I read it over spring break and bawled my eyes out and was like, whoa. So went down to a bookstore and said, I love this book. Do you have any books by Anne Rice? And he's like, what are you kidding me? Look at that whole end cap. I was like, oh, okay. So I went over there and I said, The Interview with the Vampire. I don't know. I've never read any vampire novels before. Maybe I'll try this out. Took it home, read it in a night, came back for the next one, came back for the next one. That wasn't the time when I had to scrounge, the change up to get that $6 to go buy the book. So the next day I'm like, how can I get it before payday? I don't know, but I need it. I have to have it. So I fell in love with her just through her books and through, I read all of her series, but yeah, especially Vampire Chronicles. Now we've had a discussion on horroraddicts.net group in Facebook about the movie Queen of the Damned because I just found it. It's streaming free on Tubi. And that movie, no matter what you think about the Anne Rice characters and stuff, but the music in Queen of the Damned is awesome. It has some of the best bands that were playing at that time period, 2002, I think. So it has Disturbed and Static X, and it has, and I think the guy from Korn was produced it or something.
I think he did the score. Yeah, Jonathan Davis.
There you go.
Score.
There you go. So I mean, the music in that movie was set up to be a smash hit. Wonderful music by pros. They picked one of the best books of that series after Interview. And they had Aaliyah as Akasha, who did an awesome job. She was so much Akasha. I was like, yes, they got it something right. But then they put everybody else in Halloween costumes, and they messed with the storyline where Marius was Lestat's maker. Totally weird. And then Stuart Townsend decided to tell everybody that he didn't need to read the books. He was just going to do the movie. So that pissed everybody off. I remember it. I remember taking notes going, I'm going to write an article about this after it's over because this doesn't sound good. So, okay. The movie, Queen of the Damned. It's a good movie. I don't think it's an Anne Rice movie, but it's a great movie. If you take away the fact that they messed up the entire storyline and put all their characters in Halloween costumes and switched around things, then it's a good movie. It's a good late 90s snapshot of fashion kind of show. Interview with the Vampire, I know that a lot of people didn't like that Tom Cruise was in the role. They made it too romantic, whatever. I thought it was actually a really good rendition. And I love Claudia's my favorite character. So she was everything she needed to be. And I'm actually one of the suckers that went and saw the Lestat musical.
Wow, I didn't know. I didn't know there was such a thing.
Yeah, it was like 4 to 5 hours long. And okay, so they took a piece, the piece in Interview with the Vampire where the two guys are there and then they make Claudia and then, there's that whole thing. They took that part of the movie and put it in there. That was cool. There's this really awesome song by Claudia called I Want More. I recorded it off a bad YouTube thing. See, here I am still recording stuff off of things. But it's the only song in the whole musical that I think is worth outliving it. But the rest of it was they took the first part of the Vampire Lestat, and that's a musical. And I don't know if you remember reading it, Jack, but that part of the book is a lot of narration, and he's in the woods, and his mom's involved. Not the best way to start a musical. There's not really any action. I mean, you're shooting the wolves, but a man and wolves, they can't really sing to each other, So
Right,
it didn't last long. But I do have a baseball cap, so something good came out of it.
Wow. Well, yeah, I just learned. Yeah, I learned something. But I'll just speak up quickly and say I think it's a good movie. I know no one likes Tom Cruise. I don't think much of him as a person, but he's a great actor in the role. Brad Pitt was great. Yeah,
I really thought the movie was great.
Yeah, it was well done. Except the very end, the very last scene, I went no, but everything else was great. So.
Right. Why ruin it? Like making David like some young guy in the second movie. Like, David's an old dude. He saved Lestat when he was burnt. You can't have some dude who's going, oh, I'm so old, and he looks like about 45. I'm like, no. But yeah. Tom, I think it has to do with Tom's like egotistical, like I am God kind of personality, or what he can tune into. I think he did a really good job as Lestat, because there is that, Yeah. I mean, it was like, wow. And Stuart Townsend, he was okay, but I felt like he was a little too, like, Lestat would be like, you got him to play me? Like, what are you thinking? Like, I think, Lestat would come back and be like, I can't believe they did that. Break this neck, break that neck. But
Agreed,
yeah.
All right, Rich. Like I said, I could this. I love this series. I could talk. I've read the first 6 books in the series. I could talk on and on about it. But go ahead, Rich. I know you have more questions too.
So you said vampires are your favorite. What's your second favorite then? Is it werewolves, mummies, serial killers? Where do you go next?
Probably hauntings and ghosts.
Ghost stories.
Yeah.
So before you answer, what do you think about the Paranormal Activity movies?
They're okay. The first one was really good. The rest kind of fall off. But I think they're okay. I think it was like a novelty, kind of like Blair Witch. Like, we've never seen this before, and it's really interesting, But then after you know what the shtick is, then you're like, okay, who filmed this in their house? Like, this could be on YouTube, like, But I mean, I actually did really like the first one, because there was still a little mystery there. In the second, third, they tried to hold on, but they just kind of went off the rails, and I just don't feel that they're as good.
It was the formula, I thought. It was the same tricks,
Yeah.
But I did like the third one when they added the witches in the plot and the picture and the family connection with the witches. I thought that was good. They could have done more with that. But then it got into the whole you know, that dimension thing with the supernatural thing by the time you get to the tail end of the series.
Yeah,
I've only seen the first.
You don't need to see the other ones. I think that in the first one, they kind of played off the mom or the wife, whatever. She was kind of like, you were still sympathetic to her. After they cut the sympathy there, where she was like really like had intent and was evil or whatever, you know, it lost it for me. Because I'm like, this is supposed to be a ghost story about something happening to a family that could really happen to your family. I mean, we all have, you know, bedrooms and doors that creak and little hatches under stairways that could have weird stuff going on. We all have that fear. Come into the kitchen and everything's crazy, you know, poltergeist stuff, you know, but at the same time, like, you start adding this like underlying element and it starts taking it away from the real, and the real was what was like so priceless about it. So I kind of feel like it fell off.
So,
but
you know, paranormal's not one of your favorites. What are a couple of your favorites then, talking about good ghost stories?
Well, the only one I can think of, and you're going to be like, what? Because it wasn't really what a ghost story is about. I mean, you know, Woman in Black, is it a ghost? Is it? We don't know. I love that one. But like 13 Ghosts, I know it's kind of like on the slasher side of things, and it's really, really cheesy, but I really love for 13 Ghosts. I love the thought of a house all made of glass and it has writing on it. You know, I want to do that to my house. I was like, you know, Kirk, would it be okay if I just wrote all over the windows with like a Sharpie or something? Okay. Yeah.
So not the original, then. You mean the modern one, not the original.
The modern one. Yeah, with Tony Shalhoub or whatever his name is. And yeah, that one. I know it's cheesy and stuff, but the things like that, or House on Haunted Hill, I kind of like those. I mean, they're a little more bloody than I typically watch, but there's something about them that makes them like, yeah, I want to go stay in a hotel that used to be a insane asylum. And like, do I? No, not really, but I would love to watch somebody do that, you know. I think that's where those ghosts, the real life, like the reality show ghost stories, people really dig, because they want to see somebody else do it from the comfort of their home. And hopefully they'll find something. And if they do, maybe we'll all go take a trip there. But right now I'm just going to sit in my couch and watch you.
What about something like Amityville Horror?
Amityville. I'm not really into that, and I also don't like the Conjuring movies.
I was going to say that next, the Conjuring.
Yeah, no.
It's like a ghost story meets it's like ghost story possession type of crossover a little bit, but it's still a ghost story.
Yeah, or like an item that's haunted of some kind. You know, it's still ghost story. I'm not really into that stuff, and I'm not into. You said that they added the witches in the paranormal. I'm not really into when it turns out to be cult stuff. I don't mind cult shows. I kind of like real life cult stories, though. I am addicted to that. Watching all those things about, you know, all the religions where they go crazy. But actually, when it's supposed to be a ghost and it turns into some kind of like weirdos in the woods worshiping a bull idol or something, I'm like, what the hell? How did that happen? Like, I was watching a ghost story and now I'm in a cult, you know, crazy cult movie. Like, what? It kind of jars me in the wrong way.
It's like a Scooby-Doo's right out then, you know, because it's always, we think it's a ghost and it's not.
Right.
Yeah.
You're disproving my cool belief, damn it. I do like zombie movies too, but you know, I tend to go for the like funny ones, you know, like Shaun of the Dead, Zombie Land. Yeah. Those are my favorite.
What about Return of the Living Dead?
It's
a little more fun. No? Okay.
I don't really like it. My husband tried to show me. Wait, is that the one where the girl sews her neck with the necklace? Or is it the one where the guy's head gets popped off and he looks like Big Board because his like head is like...
Return of the Living Dead?
Yeah, is that the one
where the girl... Return of the Living Dead's the one with the song "Do You Want to Party" in it when they're in the graveyard. and the
Oh,
rain,
yeah,
the rain's coming down, and all the zombies start coming out
I
of the
don't
ground.
like
It takes
that, but
place
my
in the.
husband loves it. Yeah, my
Okay,
husband loves
that's a good one.
So maybe it's number 3 where she's sewing the chain through her neck.
Oh,
And the guy's
yeah,
head is like
that might
bobbing
be that one.
around, and I'm laughing, and he's thinking that
Sure.
I'm gonna be scared and cuddle up, and I'm like, this is hilarious. It's not scary. And he's
Yeah, I
like,
don't remember the third one and the second one much because they weren't very good. The first one's a classic.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But again, I watched all these in my 20s. My husband had to show them to me because I had no concept.
Well, and so in the same vein, there was Peter Jackson before Lord of the Rings got famous for, it's called Brain Dead in some parts of the world, or Dead Alive, which is one of the most gruesome movies I think I've ever seen. Honestly, it's one of the most disgusting, but it's fun. It's also campy. It's like a lot of the stuff is played for laughs, but it's a good zombie movie. It's just, like I said, it's probably about as gory and gruesome as any movie I can think of that I've ever seen. I know there's worse out there, but it's a fun movie.
The first Return of the Living Dead was the one with the famous line "brains." That's where that comes from.
Yeah,
you know, the Tar Man zombie, and he says "brains."
Yeah,
that's where that comes from.
So, but have you watched Chopper Chicks in Zombie Town?
No,
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
They have this little song when the zombies are coming out, and it's like, oh my god, I haven't watched it in years. It's like, something, there's much that must be done, and they're all like marching out like zombies. And there's these chopper chicks, you know, they're hella sexy, like doing, you know, weird dances. And I think there's a frog. I'm not quite sure. You guys have to watch that. Let me know.
All right. Well, you know, since it's the modern day, I know there's a lot of people who have strong opinions. What do you think of Rob Zombie's oeuvre of movies as a filmmaker?
I'm not really a fan, but that's not to say that they aren't good and that people don't like them. I love Rob Zombie's music. The movies for me, and this is going to make me sound like an old lady, but when I first saw the very first one, I don't remember what it was called, but you guys did.
I've actually only seen House of a Thousand Corpses.
That's the only one.
Okay. All right.
That's the only one I've seen personally.
Okay. Is that the first one? I think there's one before that. And I don't remember what it's called, but it has like Dr. Evil and right.
Yeah, that's the House of a Thousand Corpses. Then
that's the one.
The Devil's Then it's the Devil's Rejects.
Oh, okay. All right. To me, I'm dating myself. To me, it's like the kids from MTV decided to make a video that went really long. That's what it seems like to me. Like it's too quick. There's like lots of camera jumps, and it just doesn't appeal to me. But and I don't like axe murder kind of chainsaw massacre kind of stuff either. I'm not a fan. It's okay that other people are. It just doesn't do anything for me. So sorry, but I love music. I'm not a fan of the
well,
film.
actually, like I said, I'm not even asking for myself. I've only seen the one movie, but I know he's kind of one of the big names, for better or worse. He's one of the big names in modern horror. But
he's definitely got a style, you know, where he mixes cinema with a rock video. That's what his movies are mostly like.
Exactly.
You know, aside from the Halloween movies, but even those had a little bit of rock and roll mixed in with the movie itself, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted mind blown, okay? So this is a girl who did not watch these movies when I was young. I just last fall watched the first Halloween.
Oh.
And because I wanted to watch the new one. So I was like, well, I got to watch the first one. Because I never, I just saw clips and stuff. I was so blown out of the water about how boring it was. I was like, what? Like, he's just following her. Like, look, turn around. He's right there. Like, I was just like, I was very, my mind was blown because I was like, this is what everybody is into. But, then my husband had to explain, back in the day, we didn't have a lot of stuff. There wasn't very much effects. Just think about when you saw The Return from Witch Mountain and how that was, and how you saw it last week and you said it was a piece of trash. Just, have that mindset and you see it. But I could not believe it. The movies that stand the test of time are like Phantasm, because I watched that in my 20s, way after it was produced. And Phantasm is still one of the great horror movies of all
It is
time.
very cool.
And 2 and
Very
3.
different. Very different too for the 80s.
Yeah. Sorry, I kind of went off the question there, but
no. This is all good. It's all part of it. But we got a little bit of time left. So go ahead, Rich. I know you go ahead. Take it somewhere else.
So did you see the new Halloween then that's 40 years later after the first one?
I actually didn't, because I was like, if I watch it now, I'm going to be really mad that I've spent now 4 hours of no time. So I haven't, but we will be watching it. It's in the queue, but every now and then Kirk goes, "You want to watch this?" I'm like, "Not yet. I have to get over the first one. I have to let myself forget about it and watch the new one." Did you watch it?
So
did you enjoy it?
If you didn't like the first one, then do you like something like maybe Hitchcock and his style?
Hitchcock is okay. I think it's a little thriller more, but I do like his stuff. Yeah. I just got to watch this last fall again, The Birds. Oh my God. I had never seen that before. And I was like, again, yeah.
As a kid, but yeah, it really freaked me out as a kid.
What pulls me in is the music, and it's not metal, but it's the little kids singing in the church. That little song was freaking me out.
Well,
I was
music
like, this is cool.
in Halloween didn't get you? The whole creepy music in Halloween didn't get you? No?
It seemed like it was on just a replay. It just seemed like the same song over.
Well, it kind of is, but I mean, yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was not impressed at all. But I mean, I'm so happy that people are fans, because, a lot of my listeners are fans of Halloween. And please write in and tell me, convince me that it was worth my 2 hours and change, however long.
I would say this. It's in my top 5 horror movies of all time. So
really?
I would say it's worth it. Oh yeah, easily.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. More big bad guys should be over. They should be defeated by a clothes hanger. I think that should happen more often. She pokes him with the clothes hanger. Well, I want to ask, going back to some of the other creators, and of course we geeked out about Anne Rice. I know there are many, but of course there are a couple of household names. So where are you on the? We can't not talk about. I'd say, well, let's throw out 2. We can't not talk about Clive Barker and Stephen King. Where are you on the?
Well, that's where, Clive Barker, I really enjoy reading. Stephen King, not so much, but I love all the movies. I don't know what it is. I've tried to read Stephen King books before, and I just can't get through them. And I'm not sure if it's a storytelling side or whatever, but I've talked to my my second in charge, Notching, about it, because she's a big Stephen King fan. And she's like, I don't know why you don't read them. And I'm like, I don't know, but I love the movies. Does that count for something? Can you please just let me like The Stand, the first one with Molly Ringwald and Rob Lowe and all them? Can you just let me like that? Can you just let me watch The Shining, every once in a while and freak out because I had an abusive father? I mean, can you just let me like the the screen time that he has? Another guy that I would like to start reading, but I just haven't, is the guy who did, of course, my brain. But Phantoms, the movie Phantoms, was written by, anybody know?
I don't remember.
His name just went Koontz.
Oh, okay. I've actually not read him. Yeah, I've not read him.
Dean Koontz. I have not read any of his stuff, but the movie Phantoms is one of my all-time favorites to watch, especially when it's like kind of gloomy outside and you think, "Ooh, you're the only ones in the town." So that's a really good movie, and I'm sure his other stuff is great, but I just have not got the chance to read it. I was all into vampires. As soon as I started reading Anne Rice, it was like Andrew Niederman was the only one I kind of like swayed over to. But Anne Rice and all the mazillion Vampire Masquerade novels. I don't know if you guys know, Vampire the Masquerade, or it used to be the Jihad card game. They call it the Jihad anymore. Actually.
Yeah, the role playing game, the Vampire the Masquerade. Yeah. I still have the book somewhere in the house.
Yeah, and they have the role playing books, but then they made a whole line. I mean, it's like, well, you can't see my hands, but across the room, novels, and I read all of those by all different people, and anything vampire I could get my hands on. I mean, I even read the one about the vampire who keeps going to the library trying to figure out his creation, and I mean, you know, bad ones, but also, you know, people like Nancy Kilpatrick and Lucy Blue and other people that I can't remember. But yeah, I really like that. You know, for the last about 10 years, I would say, I haven't been reading socially. I've been, you know, once you get your book published, you need to get another book. And then you need to get another book, and then you need to edit them forever. And then I've been having all these anthologies that we've been doing for horror addicts, like the one we did last year. I don't know if you know, but the Dark Divinations book.
I remember seeing that one come out. Yeah.
Yeah. This is an awesome book. And so this year we have Haunts and Hellions, which is gothic romance with monsters coming out. So I'm really just editing and reading my own stuff and sometimes swapping for friends because you have no other time to do reading. It's crazy. Sure. It's crazy. I wish I knew that before I got published.
All right, Rich, I could see the question. Go ahead.
No, it's all right. I was going to ask her because I know we're getting to the end of our time here. What are you plugging for the year? What do you got going on that people should be paying attention to?
Yeah.
Well, so we've got Haunts and Hellions coming. It's not out yet. Me and Lauren Rhodes, who is like a cemetery goddess, she has been writing about cemeteries and all kinds of stuff like that. She also does fiction, but me and her put together this Spooky Writers Planner. And this is a slim one, but basically it's to keep writers engaged in their art. And it has cool like skulls. I don't know if you guys can even see this, but in the back we have
very
a
cool.
whole bunch of like horror stuff. I'm not getting this very well. Horror stuff to write in, and for writers, it's really cool because the back part has all these kinds of worksheets to like help you, inspire you to write and to like get your work out there, and like lists of like publication dates and like publishers that you might want to, you know, pitch your work to. So this is available in this slim copy that is just the months. We have a fat copy that has all the weeks. And then we also have a digital copy that's for sale on Etsy, and you can print off whatever pages that you're interested in. So if you're a writer, even if it's just music or maybe it's nonfiction horror articles or music articles, check into that because it's helped me 100%. Basically what we did is said, we want planners and no planners are fit for us. So we just created our favorite planner, and now we can buy it as well as you guys.
Awesome.
All right.
Cool. Yeah, I know you're right. I agree, Rich. Yeah, it's good to promote. And actually, you know, I know we both have a very, very dear friend in common. And what's the last book that you came out with Dan Charette, who's a very dear friend of ours, who actually he married, by the way. He didn't. I'm not married to Dan Charette. He was the minister at my wedding. But yeah, so what was the book that you did with Dan Charette? The last one? Yeah,
the last one was Kill Switch. I don't actually have a copy with me here, but he also produced Once Upon a Scream. The Once Upon a Scream book, he actually did and edited and completed. Unfortunately, he got an illness in the middle of Kill Switch, and so my team kind of like filled in the blanks. And that one is about tech horror. So it has a lot of medical things going wrong, a lot of computers taking over things, you know, that kind of stuff. And this one is about fairy tales that have more horror endings than like what they normally would. But yeah, Dan, give a shout out to Dan. We miss him so much.
Yes, yeah. Well, he and his wife Michelle are just, you know, amazing people. So yeah. But yeah, well, you know, like I said, lots of love for Dan, and but yeah, I would just say congratulations to you on everything you've built. Horror Addicts is an awesome little community, and
Thank
you know,
you.
and so much stuff out there. I mean, just you guys go out and Google Emerian Rich, and you just be, you know, amazed how much, you know, you've really got to put out a great body of work, and you're doing great stuff. And I just say thank you also for all you've done for me over the years, helping me promote my stuff and featuring me a couple of times. I think it's been an honor. So yeah, thanks so much. And I think we got to have you back. Well, I feel like we've barely scratched the surface, Rich. I don't know. It seems like we both have like 100 more questions about horror. Rich, you know, Rich is a big time horror buff.
Oh, so. Cool.
After she rewatches Halloween and gets a better appreciation of it, then we'll have her back.
Yeah, well, that's true. You have to like Halloween to come back. Sorry, I'm
Oh
saying
no, no, there you go. It's not going to happen.
But
But I
No, I'm kidding.
appreciate that you guys are fans, so you can like
Well,
what you like.
John Carpenter, to me, is he's just one of the all-time greats. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
whether you think individual movies, he does have some stinkers, but he just has
Yeah.
some movies. Many of his
Just
movies
between
are mild.
just between Halloween, The Thing, and They Live.
I love The Thing.
Just those three
I love
movies
The
are
Thing.
brilliant.
The
Yeah,
Thing's a great
The
movie.
Thing is incredible.
It
Yeah,
is
the
awesome.
thing is.
They Live
Stuff
is amazing too.
happens. Stuff happens in that movie.
She's throwing shade.
I'm just,
Wow. I can't believe you're throwing shade at
twisting the
Halloween.
knife.
I don't know
She's
what to do about that. That's tough.
She's twisting the hanger, the pointy hanger.
Twisting the hanger.
I think we should delete this episode.
Damn. Another 2 hours lost.
But no, this has been a lot of fun. And like I said, I'm serious.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Love to do this again. And yeah, thank you so much. And thanks, Rich, again as always. And thank you guys for watching. And,
Yeah, thanks everybody for watching. See you next
Thanks for
time.
having me. It was fun.
All right. All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.